morning. My mother tells me I'm selfish. It's the first memory I have of her, and I can't tell if it's hurt or helped me. If you hear something for long enough repeatedly, you start to believe it. There are two categories: the things people tell you that you are, and the things you hold true for yourself. To try and describe the person I am, it would only be fair to acknowledge my past. My parents were born and raised in Seoul, South Korea. They boarded a plane in 1997 and made their way to Fort Collins, Colorado, where I was born a year later on June 29, 1998. I became their most prized possession, a baby in the United States and the first to hold American citizenship. My family dynamic is special. Like many immigrant children, I switched roles with my parents prematurely. Trailing my mother to stores, I was coaxed into asking questions when she struggled to formulate words. Unlike others who speak prosperity and wealth for themselves, my parents entered the country with a different agenda. They did what they had to do to support my brother and me without question. They sought opportunities for us rather than themselves, something I'll admit that I've lost sight of at times. It's funny to me how I say my parents are from Korea rather than myself. You see, I grew up as a Korean American, an individual in an affinity group that has never truly belonged anywhere. In Korea, I am a foreigner. I am nothing more than a tongue that cannot differentiate the slight nuances of the dialect. In the United States, I'm nothing more than my face. With my black straight hair and monolid eyes, I couldn't blame anyone who'd pin me as an immigrant. Growing up, I have held on to my identity with boundless pride, but that same identity has been carried with great burden. I'm not saying I have it better or worse than anyone else in this room. I'm simply saying I've grown up with a unique set of circumstances, like we all have. It'd also be wrong of me not to mention my past identity. There was a point in my life where I used to be that music kid. Orchestra, band, chorus, art club, musical, you name it. I was probably in it. I could tell you about the time my violin used to be my muse. I could tell you how I spent countless hours on a weekly basis going from private lesson to orchestra practice to private lesson. I could tell you that I used to play with the Boston Youth Symphony Orchestra. And I could tell you why I stopped. Through my voice, breath, and fingers, I thrived through the arts. My violin had been my one stable rock in my life, and I never dared to question it. However, as I began to age and my emotions matured, the tug of frustration I felt from my music brought me confusion. Music was supposed to be my sanctuary, but practice after practice, as my fingers stumbled on my strings, my thoughts were clouded. For a while, I refused to acknowledge it, but my playing reflected on my emotions. So, while it was one of my hardest decisions, I chose to step away. I don't think my mom has ever forgiven me for letting go of something I've labored so many hours over, but I'm glad I was able to find the courage to make that decision for myself. Although it was a bittersweet moment, I've never regretted it. Typically, when people think of mothers, they think of hugs, kisses, and words of pride spilling from her lips. My mom's not like that. She loves me. I know she does. She just shows her affection towards me in unconventional ways. In ways I couldn't pick up on until I started living on campus. She'll never ask me how my day is. She'll never say she loves me sporadically. She'll never ask me how I'm holding up. She'll only really tell me she's proud of me when I have something tangible in my hands to show for my accomplishments. For me, my mom's affection comes in ways like this. Have you eaten yet? Make sure to do your homework. Set some goals for yourself. Call me when you get there. Go to bed earlier. You look horrible in that. Are you still hungry? Eat more. All things younger me questioned why she was bothering me. I don't like involving my parents in my life because I'm so used to them not being a big part of it. I think it's one of the reasons why my mom calls me selfish. It's because I never tell her anything. I keep to myself, very much to myself. In my defense, they never came to any of my school events when I was younger. I was only yelled at when I tried to speak up for myself, and they tried so hard to make me that model immigrant child and everything I honestly wasn't. So it's been hard for me to open up about my life. But I think we're making progress. I actively tell them I love them and won't get out of the car until they tell me the same. Baby steps, I know, but steps nonetheless. Because honestly, my end goal is to make them proud while staying true to myself. I want them to be able to gush about their daughter to their family and friends. And I want them to make, oh, that made no sense, to make the decision to come to America worth it. My parents miss Korea a lot. They never talk about the sacrifices they had to make to leave everything they knew behind for a new place. Our whole family's there. But I couldn't tell you what my grandparents' faces look like even if I tried. I don't know any of my family on my mom's side just because I haven't seen them in so long. We always seem to find a reason every summer why we can't go back. So I know, I want to value my family, as even if we're still struggling to find ways to meet each other's needs. It's worth the struggle. It's Brooks that has allowed me to find myself again and again through these 4 years, to know enough about myself to be able to say and claim my needs, and to learn about what it means to discover other people's needs. Ironically, I was never supposed to end up at Brooks. Rather, it was Concord Academy who had my deposit. But with a phone call that took me off the waitlist here, somehow I found myself setting foot on campus at Brooks on September 9th, 2012, Orientation Day. That was the day Monica and her family decided to join me and my parents at a table in the dining hall. And I'm really, really glad they did. It took me a while to get over that waitlist status. For me, it felt like I was second choice. Someone who could potentially do well here, but not enough of a candidate to thrive. Why did I choose Brooks over Concord? I don't know. I think it had something to do with wanting something completely new. It still does linger in my mind from time to time, even now. But I feel like I was able to make the most of what Brooks had to offer here. And again, I haven't regretted this decision. Being here at Brooks has taught me so much about myself, whether it be good or bad. I found out that I'm absolutely terrible at any hand-eye coordination sport. Freshman year, I tried out for squash, and long story short, I lasted a grand total of 2 days. I can tell you that history was not my cup of tea, sorry. And senior year, I doubled up in English and science instead. I found out that even if I'm not making music myself, I'm a sucker for anyone who can. My favorite days are the ones I get to sit and listen to Emery practice the piano. Brooks has been so good about having students try new things. I owe a huge part of my comfort and leadership roles to the crew team. It was my sophomore year season with the Brooks boys team that I got my first taste of grit. The guys gave me no respect for the longest time, none at all. I learned that it's not something you're given. No, I had to work for it, and I still don't even know if I have it. In my opinion, there's a lot more to being a coxswain, though, than rowers put it out to be. Trust me, 1 second they'll tell you that I'm just dead weight in the boat, and then later they'll yell at me for not making calls to motivate them. Makes no sense. Deep down, I know they need us coxswains. I found comfort in the team, too. To help you visualize just how comfortable I am with the team, just imagine me, a 5'3" girl, trying to pick fights with 6'2" rowers. I always win, though, don't worry. My heart lies with the team and will forever and always. Together as a team, from start to finish. I've also learned a lot about myself here. Present me is forgetful. Present me also loves to be busy. I think it's because it doesn't give my mind a chance to rest. However, second semester senior me has been working on trying to take a step back and appreciating what's around me. In a way, I've also been able to admit and embrace my shortcomings both physically and mentally. I'm still working on myself. There are parts of me, of my body, of my mind, of my soul, of my heart that I still haven't made amends with. I think sometimes I'm so consumed on giving love to other people that I forget about loving my own body. But I'm working on it. There are still 46 days left until we cross that podium with our diplomas. But time only seems to go by faster. So I've made a list of some of the things I'll miss here. I'll miss the walks to breakfast with Val every morning when it opens, and the breakfast table. I'll miss this campus. Not that I'll never visit again, but this was the last time I got to see the seasons change the way they do. I'll miss the sunsets and how I'll peek through the buildings on the way back to the dorms. I'll miss the lake, all the times on the water for crew, and running the fire trail towards the evening. The community here is unlike anything else. You really can't compare it. I'll miss my little family in PVA, my friends, my teachers, the faculty, everybody. This is all just a part of my story. I've learned that the person you're sitting next to, in front of, behind, our parents, our best friends, our siblings, all have a story. And good ones too. No matter how much we think we know, there's always more. And that's true for yourself too. When I conducted individual interviews with the class of 2016 for my senior English independent, I asked questions like, what's one thing about you that no one else at Brooks knows? What's one thing that you're absolutely terrified of admitting? Why? Do you prefer the sunrise or the sunset? Tell me a story. Any story. What's something people wouldn't know just by looking at you? And my classmates spoke. They spoke about their thoughts, actual thoughts, about how they were nervous about the future, how they regretted things in the past, how they were raised, their passions, their dislikes, a pivotal moment, their families, their values, and themselves. They were pushed to be honest with themselves. My favorite response was, I've never thought about that, to which I'd respond and say, take your time. No better time than the present. This process has taught me how to listen and how to be in relationship with all kinds of people, including myself. I think this helps me be a better classmate, friend, daughter, coxswain, leader, person. So be selfish. When I was growing up, my mother posed selfishness in a negative light. Maybe it is, but that's not the way I see it. Is it selfish to want something for yourself? Is it selfish to take care of yourself first? Because lately, that's all I've been doing. Of course I care deeply and strongly about those around me, and I truly want the best for everybody. But at the same time, if I can't love myself, how are others supposed to? And that's so important to recognize, to understand, and to appreciate. I'm still trying to discover who I am, and maybe I'm on this chase that will never end. But the one thing I know for sure is that I've reached a certain comfort in this whole scheme of discomfortness to say that I'm okay. I'm okay with being a work of progress, and frankly, I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Where I am in this moment is more than I could have ever asked for. Thank you.